The CSE and TSX Venture are littered with zombie companies that can loosely be defined by me as those with cease trade orders and no viable plan to come back, yet still remain listed. Many of them get there because the nature of small caps, as they're essentially startups that just don't make it sometimes. Others are there due to the well-documented naked shorting epidemic that has devastated many otherwise promising companies. Either way, 99% of them have two things in common. They have virtually no chance of coming back, and their shareholders have taken the brunt of the pain. Despite being under cease trade order since November 1st, 2024, Fobi AI is in the 1% club because it not only has a viable plan, it's been the most active company I've ever seen under cease trade order in my 28 years in this space in running, including announcing just under $3 million in annual revenue for 2024, including the sale of its German subsidiary for about $2.2 million after conversion from the euro. A new chief technology officer, a new chief financial officer, and even two financings that were announced and weren't successful, and the company still fought through all of that. So believe me when I tell you, there are many small cap companies who would love to have a year like this under normal trading circumstances, let alone while under cease trade order. None of this is to say that Fobi hasn't had its share of problems and some criticisms from shareholders who, quite frankly, can't be blamed for being frustrated with the last 12 months. But you can't argue with the fact that CEO Rob Anson, who's joining us shortly, has fought, scratched, and outright willed Fobi's resurrection with the filing of its updated financials and anticipated revocation order to have the company trading again in the next week or so. And if successful in its bid to resume trading, Fobi AI isn't just coming back, it's evolving. The company is relaunching with smarter AI-powered wallets, real Web3 muscle, and a bold new vision to become the Deloitte of the AI Web3 wallet era. In plain terms, they're building the infrastructure and the intelligence that enterprise will need to compete in the next digital decade. Rob, my friend, welcome back.
George, it's been a very, very long time.
Man, too long. At points of time, I didn't know if we were going to get to this part here, but I'm ecstatic to have you back. And I'm ecstatic to have a long conversation here with you because there's a lot to go over. We're going to go over a lot of the details, but it feels like, you know, in the States, they've got Chapter 11 reorganization. You didn't declare bankruptcy like that, but companies get a bit of a break, a time to reorg and come back stronger. I kind of feels like what Fobi's feeling like right now. How are you feeling after a pretty long hiatus and now, you know, close to coming back?
Yeah, there's a lot of emotions. It's been a very challenging time, to say the least. You know, I think there's a lot of nights where I kind of figured, you know, maybe I can't overcome this, and maybe there's too many variable factors that are working against us, and the matrix not going to pull through and whatnot. But you know, it's resiliency, I guess you could say. My wife always says I'm very pig-headed, so the resiliency once again to continue to fight and break it down sort of day by day, you know, checklist by checklist, and focus on what I can control and sort of let the others go. I think that was one of the key reasons that I was able to hold my sanity and keep in good health. And the rest of it, it's been a struggle, and I'm very, very happy. And I wanted to get here. I knew we would get here. It's very exciting to have the opportunity to reunite with yourself and to be able to tell everyone sort of what's happened, the good, bad, the ugly, and more so focus on the future. And we've been obviously we've missed a year. It feels like you know, I've been in a coma.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I feel like I've been in a coma and, you know, out of the loop and not being able to talk to anyone. And, you know, that's been very difficult for me, as you know, because I'm always trying to be as vocal and transparent, you know, love it or not, and share as much detail as I can. You know, there's a lot of, I think, quite honestly, I think there's a lot of people wishing that we did fail. You know, there's a lot of roadblocks that were put up against us. I don't think, to your point, there's been another company that's had as much visibility and made a splash like we did and did things different. I think it's part of the big reason that we were pushing boundaries and comfort zones and all these things. And, we've had huge highs and huge lows in between and big highs again. And, where we are now. So it's been a journey and a half, and it's something, like I said, that I didn't sleep much last night because I knew we were doing this, and I was really, really excited to get back here, and it's really it feels like an honor.
Well, I didn't expect, and I bet you a lot of people watching didn't expect to kind of see that emotional side of you because, like, you and I have been talking for the last 48 hours about preparing for this. And yet, just the mere mention of how'd you get through it? How'd you survive when everyone, let's face it, thought that's it, Fobi's done. Like 99% of the other zombie companies that are out there, unfortunately, they can't get out from under it. Um, how uh, how tough of a year was it for you? Because I'd like to kind of explore that a little bit. The because you're very rarely vulnerable that way. But how tough was to get here? But more positively, how happy are you right now to actually be back right here?
Well, it's funny because I've always been one of straightforward, straightforward, straightforward. There is no plan B, it's plan A, and we're going to drive that home. I think part of I'd say the last 2 to 3 years, there's highs of highs, there's lows of lows. I mean, it's a funny market because you can work so incredibly hard for 5 years, and then one day, one week, everything seems to come together, and there's this big explosion in the markets and the share price, and that's how you're really, of course, in my position, it's all people really care about, rightfully so, and so do I. Where's the share price and where does it close? So you kind of live in a moment of 95% failure and 5% success. And I think it's really the 5% success. I think I've really grown, I would say, as an individual, that probably matured a lot. You could say that there's no such thing as failure to me in my eyes. It's always been, why are we going through this, and what can I learn? I've always been teased by my team as to, we are where we are. It doesn't matter how we got here. It's my fault at the end of the day. What can we do to ensure that we don't end up in this mess again? And a lot of that goes with hard decisions. A lot of it goes with harsh realizations too. That I've always been one that's tried to be as encouraging and respectful as I can, almost to a fault. That I try to appease everyone, and that's just me by nature, believe it or not. But I think going through this here was just a complete another level. I've never experienced anything as trying, as difficult. I mean, I even think about going back to a few years ago when I had a very serious health scare that I went through. Dealing with all that in the public markets, and that was a lot easier, believe it or not, than what I just went through. So it is very difficult. Hard to explain, I guess. I'm not doing a great job, but I think when
Oh man, no, it's raw. There's no way, there's no manual to that, right? There's no manual. You're not explaining a piece of code. You're
yeah,
explaining, what you went through. And I think what you're saying is
yeah, I
great.
think as we jump in here, there's a lot of sort of reflection as to well, what do I really want to do here? I mean, for me, I think the hardest part was having to cut myself off, and as you can appreciate, I had days where I was getting 50, 100, 200 phone calls, right? And it's really the same phone call. It's it starts like this: holy shit, calm down. Let me tell you what's going on. And then that turned into, you know, Rob's only sharing stuff with his little inside group, and of investors and stuff. And, I understand that people get mad, and what do? They look to get even and create havoc and point fingers. And, so as the lawyer said, your best just, that's the way people want to be, then let's just, do your talking with your actions and get this done. And really, it's all I've done. I think it's been the hardest part was sort of the isolation that, you guys done? Are you done? I've heard everything under the sun, all the regular threats to myself, my family, my mom and dad, like everything, right? So that's the side that I don't deal with too well. I've had a few people even come up to me in person. That was interesting, but I'm a very proud individual. I take great pride in my family, my work ethic, and my vision and delivery, and deliveries and show me the money, right? And I'm over the moon excited to get back to business here. So I'd like to thank our legal counsel, of course, at M&T Aikens, our auditors at M&P, board of directors and staff that were here, that left, and those that are here and have joined new. As I said, everything happens for a reason. And it's been an incredible learning experience. And it's kind of one of those you don't know what you got till it's gone moments that I miss this stuff, right? I miss talking about,
Us too, man. Us too.
talking about what we've been through, where we're headed, how we're going to get through it. I think it's a big one. It's when people don't hear from you, they think worst case scenario. That's wasn't my intention, but when regulators and stuff ask questions around it, that's something I take very seriously. So fortunately, I had to press pause and ignore most of the messages, unfortunately, which is hard for me. I've always kind of a lot to say, whether it's good thing or bad thing. We always sort of know where we stand. And I think that was one of my biggest challenges, was that feel like I was letting people down. I heard a lot of that, and it's the hard part. Like I said, I'm very proud of who I am and what we've done. And now, I mean, we've got a year to catch up on, and we're not going to do it all here tonight. But this is going to be an incredible opportunity for us to be frequently getting together here now to talk about new technologies, new customers, new directions, new, record revenues and these things. It's that's really kind of what kept me going, is, that sort of heartbeat.
And that's what I wanted. First of all, I think thanks for sharing like that, man. Honestly, showing a human and said that I didn't expect this. This is not part of my, questions I put together over the last 24 hours. I didn't. So I think that's phenomenal. But the good news is it's not emotion because you're singing a swan song. It's not emotion because, we're the last man out, close the lights. You've set record revenues, and we don't have the exact number yet because we're taping this in advance after market closed on Friday. But we're taping in advance because I'm going to be traveling on Sunday, and this was that important. But it's record revenues, somewhere just under $3 million. That's going to be up over 40-ish%. And again, we got to wait for the final numbers for everyone to see that. So I mean, despite the emotion and how you're feeling, and what it took, the Herculean effort for you to get here, Jesus, man, like we said, you've delivered in a CTO, hands behind your back environment what 95% of small cap companies would dream to deliver under optimal circumstances. So let's talk a little bit about that. All right, let's get into it a little bit. What I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about the past year. We're not going to labor on it, but shareholders do have a right to hear some stuff, just a little bit of what happened. And then I really want to barrel ahead. All right. So here's the way I look at it. There's four stuff I want to talk, four things I want to talk about. The audit, how we got here, all that. The financing with the group where you had a couple, and you had a couple of announcements there about equity and then equity to convertible debt, and those didn't close. And I know that must have been hard on you. The Passcreator sale, my goodness, when that sold, people thought that was it. This is just, you're wrapping things up. And then the performance, the revenue. So let's talk about the audit first. Um, what happened, that forced the CTO? And what was really incredible is, halfway through, you switched gears and brought in a new CFO. So just give us a little color there. We got so much positive stuff to talk about, but a little color on just what happened with the audit and where you're at right
Yeah,
now as of this moment.
but it's kind of ironic, George, because I knew the preliminary numbers of which were going to be reported. I mean, we were up almost 50% in revenue. We had 6 months of handcuffed, as you've put it, the previous year under MCTO, where there's so much distraction and disruption for the entire team. That's a big number, like very big number. And
Crazy.
that's the part that pisses me off from a language, but it's that you get dragged into all this nonsense. And I got to be careful what I'm going to say because I'm not done with a couple of these groups yet. And I've shared what's happened, and it's something that because that part isn't over yet, right? So we had a group out of the US that approached us about a financing, kind of right around the time we were finalizing our audit, which I thought. And obviously with what we saw is coming for the audit results, that this would become a catalyst. We went quiet. People probably won't remember this, but for that last quarter, we went quiet because, to your point, I wanted the numbers to speak for themselves and to show what the relevancy of the technology and our ability to execute, even though we were stuck in MCTO 6 months prior year. Had a group out of the US, as I said, out of Florida that I went down with a couple times, met in person, got things to the point of legal binding agreements. One excuse seemed to be after another excuse once again, and then third time, all of a sudden disappeared. And
these were sizable, by the way. The
yep.
equity one was the first one. That was like was that about $3 million, give or take? The total projected rate, like when you guys announced it, proposed private placement.
It was a sizable financing. Obviously, it would have put us in a very strong position, especially coming out of the announcement around the financials to close the financing. In around that time would have been a very strong position because now we've got greater run rate and whatnot. And if you remember too, the markets were very, very soft back then. So it didn't take too long to figure out why this group, in my opinion at least, decided to rug pull, or however you want to classify that. Unfortunately, as you said, there's a lot of games in the markets and shorting and naked shorting and these things. It's not the first time. In 2021, I did the overnight deal, and magically we go from 90 cents to $4 almost in 6 weeks on a cover. So, like I said, these are the things I actually love, like, believe it or not. I love poker and I love strategy, and like I said, I'm not scared to make big moves. Like you've said here. Like I said, it's don't get mad, get even, and that's what I intend to do. And most companies, I pretty confidently say that they would have won. We're done. I had another group
that might have been their intention because.
Well, that is their. I mean,
you're not the first of my clients that's had this group reach out and say, "Hey, George Com, we want to fund you 3, 4, 5 million dollars. All sounds great." And then all of a sudden the shell games begin. So I've seen this half a dozen times now.
Yep.
And the every excuse. Oh, we're switching the funds over to another jurisdiction because we're starting fund 5 and just
Yeah.
give us a couple of weeks. And then there's a thing and at the end of the day, I'm going to say it. I don't know if you're allowed to say it, but what I've surmised from all this is they try and put the kill shot into companies by waving a carrot in front of George Com, and George Com says, "Okay, my funding's coming through. I don't have to do anything else. Buddy boy over here is going to fund us." And what they're hoping to do is run you dry up against the wall, and then you're out
Yep.
of options and you die. And if they're short, they never have to cover because you're done. Right. And that's
Yep.
my opinion. I don't know if you want to say something about that, or if you can't say something about that, you don't have to, but I've seen half a dozen of my clients go through it, so I know that's what's happening now, and everyone's
Yeah,
onto
I've,
it.
I've
The
heard,
good thing is everyone's onto it.
I've had a lot of CEOs reach out to me with the same story, right? And magically, these groups are still operable today, which is great for me because it means that you know um, there's opportunity. Let's just leave it at that. So we'll punish them where it matters, and that's going to be the cost of if they are naked short or short. Now they're going to have to cover at some point. So bring it on, as they say. So that's part of the reason and part of my ambition to drive to keep things going was that justification. But fortunately, I had another group that had expressed interest in kind of a much bigger way to start. But I was in a position that I needed to curtail it to just investment. And that was the second debenture that we went through. Obviously, as you can appreciate, we incurred a great deal of cost because we had a revocation order to get approvals to do all these things under FCTO. We were on fumes at that point. And, it legal binding agreements, everything properly. And 3 times, same thing again, right? So once again, it was, I think after the first one, there was an opportunity that I was considering with the Passcreator that it came up in some other due diligence from a technical perspective. You remember when I first started talking about wallets and where it was going to go, and we're going to have embedded credentials and payments and all of the things of the future. Go look to the UK to see what's going to be needed to work and reside in the UK now. And this is, I was so bang on that for me, I looked at everything as nothing's forever. And if you're not willing to make moves and become agile, I think I've said numerous times with you, speed and agility is our number one superpower. And the way we built our technology, the way I'm willing to make pivots and moves like we've done numerous times, you can't be dug in your ways and your mindset and your thinking, because it leads to a very, very dark, ugly path very quickly. And
Tech just changes too fast to get entrenched. You've
yeah,
got to be ready to celebrate a new product launch, and then start looking over your shoulder and start thinking, "I better get ahead of this because this is going to be obsolete in 6 to 12 months."
yeah. So we had some big choices to make. To be honest, the board and everyone thought I was crazy when I said, "Yeah, I think now's a great time to move Passcreator." And they had an interested party in Europe that we were able to get things done quickly. If you remember, I think we bought it for 147,000 cash and some stock back then. And, we turned it into a non-dilutive lifesaver that 2.1 million or 2.2 million, whatever the number was. But, that was a big moment for us. We we're able to get that done in record time. And if we hadn't been able to do that, wouldn't be here. Simple as that. So
somehow the equity and the convertibles not closing, the gate. So I think it just opened up that door to the Passcreator sale. At the end of the day, the amazing thing is the company came out on top, and a lot of people read the Passcreator sale is, like I said, I got phone calls with people saying, "Is that it?
yeah,
Is it lights out?" And they're just
yeah,
starting to sell stuff off and pay off their bills and go home. And little did people realize that you in fact, it kind of reminded me of when the Dallas Cowboys, everyone knows I'm a Cowboy fan, traded Herschel Walker back in 1990, the best running back in the league, and everyone thought, "You're crazy, that's it, the Cowboys throwing in the towel." And instead what they got was 5 players and draft picks back, and that's what led to their dynasty in the 90s. So that's in fact, I can't say that that's what's going to happen. That would be a forward-looking statement. I'm not saying that, but you're at least giving yourself that chance. You traded away Herschel Walker, you got in a bunch of cash, and now you're using that cash to move the company forward in another direction, right? Is
yeah.
that
And
a great
we
way to kind of
like
summarize that?
yeah, and like you gotta remember, people don't even remember Pass Wallet. I mean, we acquired Pass Wallet, we acquired Passworks. So there's some redundancies. Pass Wallet for me was always the anchor for the future. We've got we took the money and invested into development, which will produce our next gen wallet platform, which will be a hybrid of 2.0, 3.0. That's to me the future. And we've already seen embedded payments right across the board. Now the Alt ID was another product that we released that's still used everywhere from Predator Ridge to NASDAQ and other big events. That verification is a big part of digital identity now. So embedding these into our next gen platform, we'll come out 20 times stronger than we were with the product. I know we've had a lot of, as I said, due diligence with other groups that pointed out some of the deficiencies around the legacy source code and stuff and challenges. And instead of slowly pulling the band-aid off and duct taping it, we ripped it off. And couldn't happen at a better time. And very excited here for the early new year to be able to launch the next gen wall platform, which will be first of its kind.
And by the way, easier said than done. Now we're going to move into the future talk. But a lot of people will hold on to something legacy and try and duct tape it and patch it because it's
Yeah.
good or reliable and some revenue coming in. But it takes a strong leader. Trust me, it takes a strong leader to say, no, this was such an important part of us, and now we got to get rid of it fast. And we got to move on to the next player. So I think that's great.
I think
So let's go ahead.
Yeah, part of that, George, is that as you said, technology is moving so quickly. It's been a year since we've spoken, and when people see what we've launched and different products now that are again live in market, these are things that we've been planning for over 3 years. So it's kind of like waking up Christmas Day and opening all the gifts, and you realize you're all alone. You've got no one to share that with. That's kind of the way we felt here. So we're very, very excited. We're going to put a great deal. Obviously, everything's going to be rebranded, new web page, new social, new messaging, right across the board. New investor pass will launch soon as well. We're carrying forward in the new direction, and the new direction, as you've heard me say, is going to be big time predicated to 3.0 Web3 and AI. I mean, the AI technology that we've launched alone will blow people's minds, let alone what we are now building in our Fobi suite of products, which is kind of ironic because 2017, when I stood up my private company, it's Fobi Suite Technologies. And that was the vision of the future, was to build technologies in the AI space that could connect and enhance existing investment infrastructure that provides that transformation and efficiencies of what the automation would deliver. So I'm very excited and proud to see what my vision has come to fruition, and to see where the market is at, especially now with the education of what is Chat GPT and all these large language models that people play with every day. They don't truly understand, one, the risk associated to it, nor do they understand the true capabilities. And the true
Well, hold on. Let's before we go, because we're about to go, I want to kind of walk people through, because you and I, AI, Web3, the tech stack, we get it a little bit more than most people, but I kind of want to walk everyone before you run, and you're about to run there, and I didn't want to leave everyone behind. So can we kind of go through that? Because I just want to kind of walk everyone through, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, I think one of the key things for people, and this is going to be really interesting to me, because you get a lot of people that they love comfort, right? Oh, I used to love seeing so and so and hearing from so and whatever, right? The way that we built things, that everything's interchangeable. And like I said, I'm not going to be here forever either. One day that my replacement will be here, and the show will go on, just in a younger, smarter, better looking model. And that's just the way it is. And when we start to look at what we're doing here, that's it's future proofing businesses. There's not just shareholders that become stuck with comfort. Businesses live in legacy, antiquated systems every day.
In order to help everyone understand where you're going, we first need them to understand, what the consultants do at the end of the day. So let's use an example like GeorgeCom widgets, right? I'm a big widget company, and I need to transform into AI and Web3 and wallets and all that. And normally I would call in, a big consultant company. They do a big analysis, and then they tell me what I have to do. So walk us through what GeorgeCom would do with Accenture, and now what they're going to do with Fobi, how you offer a way better strategy, architecture, and execution all the way through. So walk us through that so everyone can understand.
Yeah, no, that came. We had several airport projects last year, and it was in one of the meetings. They said to me, like, "Well, you guys are like the new Deloitte." And I said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" And she's like, "Well, we spend millions of dollars building these strategies and documents, but they never get implemented because we don't, one, have the skill set and bandwidth, quite honestly, to implement these things. And that's the big gap, is very seldom there's change. Well, we spend all these things for these big, fancy, strategic stories, if you will, but we don't have a sandbox environment. We don't have a team to hold our hand to build a workflow and actually implement this. So that was really interesting to me, because obviously everybody understands the size and stature of McKinsey, as you said, and Deloitte and Accenture, and all these big prolific consultancy groups, coupled with other projects that we were doing, from them reaching out to us, asking and looking for subject matter experts in AI and data intelligence and wallet pass integration and some of these things. It kind of opened my eyes a bit, to be honest with you, because when we look at building a forward business, it helps us tremendously manage our size of our team. Obviously now with our own technologies and AI agents and other things that we built into it, this becomes something that's very, very doable very quickly. So we can not only build a strategy, we can connect all of their existing infrastructure, but more importantly, we build a sandbox environment to build a controlled use case and then implement it at scale. So it's an end-to-end product services that, as you've alluded to, that really opened up my eyes. And all these groups now know they need to adopt AI and automation into their business, but they have no idea how to use it. Everybody uses Chat GPT and DeepSeek and Gemini, right, all these things. Right. Build me a deck or do this or that. But at the end of it, it's just another silo. I mean, I talked about silos from a data perspective. for years, right around the IoT device, and we're creating interoperable cloud connectivity. It's really the same thing we're doing here with Fobi Cloud, is that we're providing a fully integrated, connected environment that is obviously highly efficient and optimized, which delivers them a much more profitable outcome than of which they have today. So I think it's a good analogy that you came up with the other day around the new digital Deloitte and Accenture, if you will, that our model is based on professional services and subscription. So revenue recognition plays a big part of what we've been doing with the audit. And that was one of the things there, because onboarding, customization, integration, all of these things are a little convoluted when it comes to the revenue recognition. Now it's very streamlined because we deliver revenue through professional services. We get paid for our subject matter expertise, as well as our IP, which is a subscription license. So it's very simple, it's a very streamlined, and for us now, it's something that we've been able to scale very quickly.
And I'll tell you, for anybody at home, and I wouldn't blame people at home if they're watching or listening to this right now saying, come on, Rob, you're not going to suddenly become, you're not going to suddenly go head to head with Deloitte and Bain and McKinsey. What are you talking about? But the Wall Street Journal article, first of all, I'd known it just from my circles, but the Wall Street Journal article, we'll have it back up on the screen. People can go read that. You got major corporations who are saying exactly that. They're saying, we brought in consulting firm, insert the name. We spent $20 million on them analyzing GeorgeCom widgets and how we should incorporate AI. And then the report we got at the end of the day, first of all, they weren't able to implement it or execute. They just gave us a report. And there's a quote in there that says something, I'm paraphrasing, but something to the extent of, we basically got a manual on how to use AI for our business. And we paid $20 million for it. And the Wall Street Journal goes on to say the consultants are way behind. And that's because they didn't hire on the AI people when they had a shot. And now all the AI people, we've heard of Zuckerberg giving $100 million signing bonus to AI people. So they're behind. And it's going to be hard for them to catch up. And they're projecting their revenues to fall. So that's where you come in, right? So Rob, walk me through, let's say an airport. You said earlier you're talking with airports. Don't name them. I don't want you to get any, but let's say it's Athens Airport. Just I'm Greek. So walk me through an example for everyone at home to follow, how you would walk into airport, you do some analysis first of all, you'd give them the strategy, and then you'd execute for them. Like, give us a layman example so everyone can say, aha, we got exactly what you're doing.
Very, very simple. All organizations, whether it's their IT assets. So, for example, let's not use airports because that's a little bit of a different case. But when we start to look at a football stadium, for example, they've got season ticket holders, merchandising, parking, point of sale, which is their food and beverage, software technologies. They've got loyalty. They've got gaming. These all live as silos. And what silos mean is that none of it connects. So all of the reporting is all static, meaning that I get a spreadsheet, and then I get a spreadsheet, and a spreadsheet, and a spreadsheet. I've got 50 people that build spreadsheets into one. And then at the end of the day, weeks, months later, I've got some form of reporting. With what we can do now through the integrations and the customization, we can build our Fobi Cloud environment, which enables real-time connectivity across all of their network and systems. They now have one dashboard that shows the entirety of their business in real time. So, I mean, it used to be kind of the running joke because everyone was about real time. I'm like, no, this is true real time. And what are you going to do with this? And they have no idea, right? We don't really know the art of what's possible with real time because it's something we've never done before. So by simply connecting their business into a real-time dashboard, there's a huge win already. They've never had that before. That's always been the goal. That's as low-lying fruit as it gets for us. The other one too.
That's basic for you. That part's basic for you to deliver.
Yeah, that's wash, rinse, repeat now. And as we said, I mean, I don't want to give other examples because there's new technologies, and I don't want to go down a rabbit hole today because there will be other webinars and product walkthroughs that Udesha, our CTO, will run people through so they understand how it's deployed, what the capabilities of these technologies are, what are the use cases that we've implemented. All this information will be shared very quickly here once we get back trading. And as I said, I think for today, that's really the key. This sandbox execution implementation doesn't exist today. To your point,
It doesn't.
no. So that's where I'm focused, because we can implement these big projects with very little overhead. The automation and AI intelligence of which Udesh has built enables us to bring on these large projects and deliver them very, very quickly with a matter of 1 to 2 people, which is kind of still blows my mind. But that's the capabilities that exist today, that are live in market today, that I'm very excited to be able to speak to and have Udesha educate shareholders now as to what we're doing. The focus is on future. People have missed a year. I mean, it's like waking up from a coma and going, well, what happened for the last year? Well, let me tell you, Trump's kind of taken administration and we've done this and that, and the whole world's changing. You know, it's probably going to be a little uncomfortable for people. Some people might not understand it. And you know what? I'm okay with that. I am, because I know where we need to be. And that's, to me, the biggest thing that I've learned through this is I'm going to do it my way. And, you know, people might not love that, might not like it. They miss the old people or whatever. That we're focused on one thing, and that's results, and building off of last year's revenues. And now, obviously, the team is, the overhead run rate and burn rate is so minimal that is going to put us in a very, very solid position here. So, you know,
That's awesome.
you're
You're the unicorns everyone's talking about, where they're talking everyone's talking about how you're going to have companies that are fewer than 10-person teams that are going to be generating ridiculous amounts of revenue and profit because they're leveraging AI to the max to automate everything. It's easier said than done, because we're doing a lot of automation at Agoracom right now. I mean, I have meetings at 3 hours a day, 3 times a week. But once you set it up, it's unbelievable the transition that's made to your business. So you guys are already there.
It's wash, rinse, repeat. Like, you know, when we start to look at you know, the widgets, as you like to use that word, at the end of the day, it's really about delivery. The widgets are great for entertainment value and to save a bit of time, but how is it really going to impact the entirety of the operation? That's where people go, I have no idea, right? ChatGPT doesn't deliver me that, and the source code and all the integrations that go along with that. So that's a very, very, I would say, finite opportunity for us with massive upside and scale. I also look at things too, George. I'm personally of the opinion that there's not going to be the big moonshots anymore of these large language models and chip manufacturers like NVIDIA. Those are very few and far between, as we've seen. The next unicorns, as you said, I believe it is going to be companies like us that deliver a suite of products, that deliver a path across the bridge of transformation that's going to have tangible, measurable ROI associated to that. As you said, very simple to spend $20 million on a pretty presentation. But when we can show you the value and measurement of the investment now, that's very, very rewarding. And that's the biggest thing that we're focused on. And it's been a lot of fun. And it's great to see the reaction to Udesha. That's a very exciting one for me.
Who's your target market, Rob? Who's it going to be? So you're actually, when you first started talking about this, I figured, okay, you know, you're going to be great for small, medium business enterprises, but you're going after big game, right? So who's your target market? And then the devil's advocate question I want you to answer with that is, how are you actually going to achieve penetration? Like, how do you get to the stadium guys and the all the other, you know, the
But it's
target
very,
markets
George,
you're looking? How do you get to them?
it's very simple. We already have our existing user base. So when I say it's always two things. Yeah, I was in a presentation with a very large manufacturing group yesterday. And when I said, can you tell me what is your data monetization strategy? You know what, we don't have one. It's part of the reason we're open to speaking with you. Can you tell me about your wallet strategy and your Web3 strategy? Can you tell me about your AI strategy? What have you implemented? What have you played with? What are you familiar with? And zero, 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 zero. Because
That's what most of them are going to be.
they don't know where to start. So for us, the focus is right across the sector. SMB is the low-hanging fruit because that's the automation, autonomous model of which we built that anyone can log in and grab a license and start playing, as you'll see here. But the real opportunity for me is in the enterprise space, believe it or not, because there's something that Udesh has built that is sort of the solution, if you will, for the gap that these large language models have created when it comes to a compliance perspective and a data privacy and security component. So, you know, think about that for a minute. Financial service providers, fintech organizations,
Healthcare.
banking, healthcare, legal is becoming a very big, interesting one for us. Because what do they all have? They all have client confidentiality clauses, right? You've got HIPAA and all these things. People start to implement parts of ChatGPT and other things without going too far. A lot of that is gone. So Udesh has built out a platform that we're standing up from, as I said, enterprise all the way down to small businesses that start small, and they can reap the rewards and benefits. And as I said, I don't see us actually having more than 9 people ever again, which is crazy because at one point we had 80 plus people. Yeah, we'll never have more than 9 people. There's no need for it. The way Udesh is architected our product and account management, customer service, technical support, it's all AI.
When do we get to see some of this in motion, Robin? Right now, for example, are you doing demos to Fortune 500, Fortune 1000 companies? And if a Fortune 500, 1000 company says, we like it, let's do it. Are you guys at the ready to deliver right now?
We've already delivered it. And this is a big part because it's very hard for us to come in here and talk about everything under the sun for the last year in one interview because people are going to be lost. I'm sure half the people are probably already lost right now. So I think, as I said, we're going to be calculated because the biggest thing for me, as I said, we make money now on professional services. The next interview will be with Udesha. What does that mean? Rob said that you guys make money through professional services. Can you give us a demonstration of what that looks like? The other one will be a subscription model. Rob says you make money now on licensing and your subscription. Can you explain to us what that looks like and what does the product deliver? We'll be able to show these people live in demo what's built, how it's implemented, how it's managed, and what we actually do and don't do. And the hands-off piece is mind-blowing. We're able to work 24/7, 365 now. And that's the beauty about the AI and automation piece.
Okay. So we'll save that part for next time, but we've got a good idea. We got a pretty decent idea of what you're doing there, but we're going to get a better idea when we see the demos with Udesha. So let's move on to the tech team. Again, we're implementing AI right now. It's fast, it's furious, but you've got to have some great people around you because, man, it's not ChatGPT. The next level of automation. We use ChatGPT a ton. Don't get me wrong. We have AI agents all over, but there's automations that's just not possible. And if you don't have really smart people, you're never going to get close to it. You're never. we were talking about this today, Rob, about doing a demo and showing the world on October 15th what we're doing.
Yeah.
And at one point, one of the guys asked, well, should we show the automations? And the tech guys around the table said, yeah, it doesn't matter. They can see this. It won't matter. They won't have a clue how to reverse
Yeah.
engineer. They just won't, because
Yeah.
it's impossible. So I get it. So team, let's talk about Udesha, because you've talked about him a couple of times. So we're going to get to know him on another interview, but he's a bit of a child prodigy, right?
Yeah.
He's he's built and sold some stuff on his own before he came to Fobi. So let's talk a little bit about him. I know you rave about him,
Yeah.
but maybe his tech skills and what you've seen in a layman's way for all of us at home to understand just how gifted is Udesha and how lucky is Fobi to have him.
I met Udesh about 5 years ago, actually. So it's something that's interesting because people might not know this, of course, but he's been involved with the company for quite some time. They've built some of our satellite products, some of the products that haven't even been released yet to updating shareholders that, as I said, are live today. So he's been very involved in the company. He understands how it's been built, and more importantly, how we can transform the technology and the roadmap to align with my vision in a more elegant and meaningful way. And you're right. He's he sold his cybersecurity company to one of the largest American telcos. He's been recognized by the Indian government as an advisor. I think he's the youngest to build their cybersecurity. Every day with Udesh is an adventure. I don't know if he's a real person anymore, or whether he's an AI robot, because
An avatar.
an avatar, yes, because it's 24/7, as I said, real-time responses, and I'll let him speak to how he's done that. But no, it's what's got me so excited. It's really a big part of my sort of moment to the light at the end of the tunnel, if you will, of dangle the carrot ahead. It was, if I can only get through this, look at how bright the future will be with him leading the charge. And to see what he's done here, and I don't know what it is, a few short months already, and the doors that he's opened internationally is crazy. It's obviously we'll reap the rewards of that, but as I said, this is a whole new company now, George. What I talked about and where I wanted to be, we're there now. And that's the real exciting thing for me, because the shareholders are going to get to learn as to what's transpired and evolved. And as you said, a lot of the updates I've done with groups, they're like, Rob, this is super exciting. This is a whole new IPO. We're going to market this as a new IPO because the company is completely different. And the technology is not just a story, it's there live today. And the demo blew their mind. So it's change is always good. It's very uncomfortable. These challenges that we've gone through are very uncomfortable, very painful. But where you come out the other side, to me, that's always a lot more focused. It's a lot stronger, and it's really the eye on the prize. So,
and if nothing else, I mean, there's so many things I want to peel back there. We're not going to dive into all of them, but when you're talking about running a company with less than 10 people, so you've essentially cut the labor costs by 85% or so. I'm just kind of
yeah.
ballparking it. Ballpark, are you able to give us a ballpark number of what your monthly burn rate looks like right now, like, or what your monthly nut, like everyone calls, what's it cost to run the company?
Our projections for our operational costs will be under $1.3 million annually. So if you look up our numbers of where they were at, 5 million and 3 million, each quarter, and these things, That's a huge savings. And as I said, it's really for us now that this is, we've turned the corner, and we've got nothing now but, to me, upside. That there isn't. How are we going to cover this? It's, where else can we turn and take the technology and duplicate and replicate what's needed to be done? As I said, I don't think the next unicorn is going to be the moonshot. It's going to be these groups like us now that are very focused on the finite details of transforming businesses and delivering measurable value. That's the big,
Well,
big.
you're already hearing about private companies that are AI focused this way, that have 5 or 8 employees, and they're doing several, $100 million in ARR, annual recurring revenue.
Yeah,
I'm not, by the way, guys, I'm not trying to say that's what Fobi is going to do. I'm trying to say that you're hearing this all the time. That was unimaginable 5 years ago. You would
yeah,
have needed an army of people. If you're doing $150 million in revenue, you'd need an army of people to manage every part of the business. AR, customer service, HR, you name it, it's just an army. And that's what leads to so many companies' demise. But I mean, here you are, you're an example, at least part one, on having a team of less than 10 people to deliver Fortune 1000 solutions. And
yeah.
that's pretty wild. We know you can't be specific yet, but looking forward. Okay, so they're, no matter what, and rightfully so, some shareholders are not going to be easily placated by one, interview and you're back. I mean, I think it's a massive milestone they made it back. People shouldn't take that for granted, because 99% of the zombie companies on the CSC adventure are just not coming back. They have no shot. They're done. They're done, and everyone's moved on. And it's just people are pretending. The exchanges are even pretending. Well, we don't. Let's just keep Georgecom technically listed under C, but it's never come back, right?
Yeah.
That's never happening. You're back. So that alone, to me, is Herculean times 5. Now, as you're back, what should the skeptical investors start looking for going forward? Once, fingers crossed, but it should be a case the CTO is revoked, that you're back in trading. What kind of things should we be looking for? Is it going to be primarily tuck updates? Hey, we just released the Fobi 2.0 dashboard, whatever. Is it going to be tech updates? Is it going to be products, clients, partnerships?
Yeah.
Can you look at what the next 3 to 6 months looks like in terms of, what you start with? Because I know you're anxious to start telling the world what you've been up to.
Yeah, for sure. I think, it's easy just to come out and sort of, boom, let's put out 3-4 press releases a week. That's not really going to help in any way, quite honestly. I think a big part of it, there's a lot of variable factors. To your point, you're excited to prove everyone wrong. Well, I don't think it's really proving people wrong. I think part of it is interesting because I hear it quite honestly. I've done a lot of updates and I've received a lot of new introductions to large US funds and private equity and different groups in the US. And like Rob, part of your sort of detriment, if you will, we feel, is that you were too early. A lot of people probably didn't quite understand what you were really trying to do. And to see your demonstration and your presentation now, it's very crystal clear. One, what the product is today, where you're focused, how you make money, the obviously the size and run rate of the business. All these things are very clear now. Whereas before, there was a lot of very convoluted, how do we position this? How do we position that? And it's a huge puzzle that a lot of people were, goes right over their head. So I've really tried to simplify things, if that makes sense. And I think a lot of it, I'm not going to come out here and say we're going to do 10x revenue, next year, or 100x revenue next year. We're going to build a business that's sustainable and viable. And that's the biggest thing. a lot of time in the tech space, I've seen this. We had to ramp up, as I said, to 80 some people, had an astronomical, run rate or burn rate, sorry, in order to try to make projects and in order to make certain approvals. And that's like a Russian roulette exercise. And somehow, magically we're able to keep ourselves on the track and work our way through that and whatnot. This one here now is really, we're positioned for long-term success due to the sustainability and viability of the construct of the business. That's my biggest thing. I'm taking this as a new IPO. Nobody knows what we've done the last year. I'm going to take this approach as I've got nothing to lose, George. Everyone was cheering, everyone thought we were dead or whatever the story may be. We're not.
Well, the haters, not everyone. The
Yeah,
haters who are louder
yeah,
than the your friends and your loyal shareholders who were down thinking, okay, maybe it's over for us. So the haters were
yeah.
doing their
Like I said,
dance, right? But the dance is over.
it's not over until it's over, as they say. So for me, this is a whole new opportunity to educate people, to do a much better job of explaining how the company generates the revenue, explaining the product. We've actually got products now, George, that the shareholders or interested parties will be able to download and embed into their desktop or their phone, and they'll be able to use it live real time as part of their everyday life. So this is going to be tangible. It's real. It's not going to be, oh, we've got all these, look at the whiteboard behind me and all these great ideas. This is stuff that people are just going to be able to touch and feel and be interactive with now. So I think it makes my job way easier. And at the end of the day, people have a choice to make. I couldn't imagine for the life of me now down here why people would want to sell and take a recognized loss. This is the position and time that I've been waiting for. That it's funny to me because it is almost like the Matrix. The relevancy of the markets is so in tune with our technology and the offerings from AI and data intelligence, Web3, wallet. This is all of what we've built now and all what's live today. So could not be better positioned. As I said, there might be a lot of people that are depressed and upset, and that's rightfully so, no problem. But I can tell you, based on all of the reach outs and inbound lead gen and investor groups that have reached out to me to learn about the story, there's a hell of a lot of great excitement. And for me, I'm always focused on, what's possible versus what could go wrong.
Well, it's like you said, it's kind of like you went to a coma and
Yep.
you woke up. Mind you, you're working like hell, but you've come back to life at a time when AI is everywhere, and the market is starting to differentiate between, okay, the early guys, George Com AI, who made these claims when they're really just wrappers, right? They're just
Yep.
taking existing AI and putting something around it and calling it product. That's not it. And the Fobi AIs of the world, where you can walk into a stadium and say, let our AI bring everything together for you, give you real time insights, and then tell you what to do with that. And it's easy. It's way cheaper than the status quo. So, I mean, that's where you are right now. Now it's just a matter of execution. So, if I can ask, again, just generally speaking, how does your pipeline look, or what are you guys doing above and beyond the Rolodexes of people you've got? What are you doing to reach out and start to build that pipeline even bigger? What's that all looking at? You did allude to earlier saying we've already delivered some stuff.
Yeah, no, it's interesting to me because people go like, oh, what about this group? What about that group? Obviously, I think I've dropped a couple here with Bretton Ridge and Nasdaq is just a couple of the groups that from yesteryear, if you will. A lot of the groups is you'll see have resigned. We haven't really, to be honest with you, George, I haven't reached out to anyone. There's so many inbound calls now, and what's really exciting to me is because when I meet someone, they go and tell someone, and then they tell someone and go, hey, how we're talking about automation and how do we truly leverage AI and actually implement it? I've got the group for you to talk to. You know, the group that I met with yesterday, they, what was it, 10 days ago? I got an introduction, and two of their heads flew out from Toronto to meet with me. Perfect. Because what's happening now, everyone's, you know, building their budgets for next year. That's why there's a high sense of urgency. So, like I said, we haven't really, one, I haven't had a true opportunity to reach out and update everyone. I've been so buried in this freaking audit stuff. It's not fun, but you know, it's like I said, it's amazing to see what can be done. You know, when you put your mind to it, and I'm so thankful for Udesha and the team that are here now, because it's like they're going. It's like true startup vibes again. You know, it's just fun because people that are here, you know, there are some people here from the past still. There's some new people, and everyone that is here now is fully in line with what we're delivering and where we're headed. You know, it's a very tight group, and to me, that's sort of the output of, you know, the excitement now and the clarity as to where the company's headed, and hopefully, I can deliver the same excitement and clarity to the shareholders as to what's transpired and more importantly where we're headed, because it's I can tell you it is very exciting and it's worth the wait.
As a fellow founder, I'm going to end off by saying this. I can't even imagine the level of distraction you had with the audits and everything we talked about and still keep everything going. I can't wait to see what you guys are going to be able to do. I know your team's working hard, but I guarantee you, knowing the whole dynamic of how it happened at Agoracom, your team a lot of times, you know, couldn't get all of you. They just couldn't get all of your attention. And when they did, sometimes you're exhausted because you had to go through these distractions and get this done. So I can't wait to see what happens when this team has Rob walk in. It's like you're coming off the injured reserve. You know, you've no longer got an injury. You're no longer hobbled. You're 100%, and you're ready to take snaps as the quarterback and lead the team. I really can't wait to see what's going to happen this 6, 9, 12 months, and
Yeah,
and make this last year a distant memory.
it's been really it's what's the right word? I kind of feel like Jekyll and Hyde, if you will. Like you know, leading two separate lives because I've had to be completely consumed in the audit. Obviously, with
Imagine.
time zones with Udesha, a lot of it, you know, 3 a.m. as you saw today. What are you doing up when you messaged me?
I was just so people know it. At 6:30 this morning, I was doing preparation for this interview, and I sent Rob a WhatsApp saying, "When you're up, can you please send me this over? I want to be able to review this." And you answered me right away, and I said, "What are you doing up? It's 3:30 in the morning for you."
Yeah. So,
So
like I
yeah, man,
said,
that hit home today when I saw that from you.
you know, there's a few people that you know before said on record that I'm the hardest working person they've ever met. I take great pride in that. Like I said, I'm a blue collar approach to it. Like I said, it's I give them my all, and I'm very excited. I'm completely rejuvenated. I'm starving to get back into the business development side again more so and really take charge. There's a lot of great groups like Comcast and others that have reached out that you know are happy to see that we're able to pull through and had some great updates with and open doors again. And it's been really rewarding. I think you could say, you know, you go through tough times, you find out who your friends are pretty quick, right? As you said, it's easy that especially today's day and age, everyone likes to keyboard cowboy and you know shit talk and do all these things, but that's okay. You know, I'm not the main character in everyone's story, and I'm quite all right with that. And I'm now focused on execution. It's all that matters to me. The rest is just noise. You know, I'm so excited that the revocation gets done and our trade resumption. I'm told 2 to 3 days, whatever that looks like from the minute we file the financial statements in Q1, 2, 3. And then we're in good shape here until the end of October. to finish 2025, which is in order. So it's going to be nice to focus on growth and development versus lawyers and audit and accounting. I can tell you that much.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've been there. I can't imagine. Rob, welcome back. Congratulations on fighting through the fight of your life and making it out, being the 1%. And now I think I speak on behalf of most of your shareholders that will still have a little bit, but they're going to say, good luck. We wish you good luck. We want to see you succeed. We all want to see you succeed so that everybody wins at the end of the day. It took a long time for you and I to get back together again,
Yeah.
but I get the feeling it's going to accelerate. Have you back, have you Desha to do some product demos and all sorts of great stuff. And congratulations just on getting to this spot. And I will tell everybody, Rob was in a situation because I've had this conversation with other clients of mine, friends, where he could have just gone private. He could have just said, listen, this is too big of a mountain to climb. It's impossible. We can't get the funding. We can't get this done. I'm just spinning my wheels. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna, go private. And he didn't do that. And why didn't you, Rob?
I had a lot of people reach out, even when we put out the announcement that the update, funny enough, the two groups that walked from the financings, both of them reached out right away, right? Inquiring about purchasing stock, pre-market trading, and of course, is there an opportunity to do another financing? And the quote's a really great place to go buy stock at Fobi now. So private, it was a lot of options. There's a lot of interest of why don't I just take you guys private and you can just focus on building the business and forget all the noise and distraction. I think part of it too, George, is people don't understand that yes, it is distracting, and the cost. I mean, the cost to run a private company is sickening. And like I said,
Public company.
it is what it is, right? But at the end of the day, we're starting this venture again. As I said, new IPO. I hold more shares than I did in the beginning, 2018 or whatever it was, 7 years ago. So it's something I'm heavily, deeply invested into. It's the part that was hard for me, as I shared in the beginning, was not being able to give the updates to people when they asked, some of them, because there's a lot of very good people. I understand fully there's a lot of people that put everything they have into this story and the company, which is truly why I'm still here. Obviously I'm heavily invested and want to see this through, but it's those little stories. I've met a lot of great people throughout this exercise, and some of it, I wasn't able to respond to, but just know that it's part of the reason.
And we thank you for it, man, because you could have gone private and you could have said, hey, it's just insurmountable. And you didn't. And you're here. And even the way I think I can feel your emotion right now, you're happy to be back and you're happy that you did it. And one day we'll talk even more about just how to the limit this whole exercise took you, but you made it, man. And that's the sign of a winner. That's the winner, right? We've always heard that. You got to keep going. You just cannot quit. And
Yeah.
that's easier said than done, but you did it. Welcome back, my friend. Can't wait to have you back again. Have a beer on us this weekend, even though this will be going out on Monday, but I'll be traveling. And this is, we did this in advance, but can't wait to have you back, buddy. And I'm so glad to have you back. I'm glad that we didn't have our last interview a year and a half ago, and that in fact we're moving ahead again.
You betcha. No, I'm very excited.
Yeah.
So lots to look forward to, and focus on the positives, and appreciate each day.
Thank your wife and kids for all of us as well, because we know that they had to go through it with you. And every good CEO has to have his family support him, back him, and even sacrifice their time with them. So thank your family also, and hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. And the sun's shining bright, and you guys are, sharing smiles together as you prepare to come back and start trading again. And for everybody at home, guys, this went an hour and 20 minutes. and we only scratched the surface. Believe me when I tell you, we only scratched the surface. But to go any deeper than this would have been too much. That's going to be future updates. That's going to be Udesha doing great product demos for us and all that. But thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We hope you got your attention again. We hope we've got you coming along for the ride. Get back to the Fobi forum on Agoracom. There's going to be a lot of questions. Keep the darts to a minimum. We know some of you're going to have them, but keep them to a minimum. But let's get engaging again. Let's get collaborating, and let's give Fobi 3.0 a chance to breathe here and see what Rob and the gang can deliver, because I'm excited about it. Thanks for joining us. Have an amazing day. See you next time.
Hey, small cap fam. I hope you loved this interview because more than a dozen people were involved in its production for the sole purpose of making you happy. If so, can you take a moment to support both our awesome guest company and Agoracom? Your engagement means the world to us. First, if you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up by tapping that like button. It's a small gesture that helps this interview reach even more potential investors to discover today's guest. Second, we would love to hear your feedback on this interview, so please leave a comment below. Be sure to keep it clean, but feel free to poke fun at George. If you loved what you heard on today's video and want to dig into our guest company right away, take a look at the links in the description below. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to never miss another great Agoracom small cap video. Thank you so much. We couldn't do any of this without you. Make sure to come back soon.